What makes us human? What drives our fears, our dreams, and our deepest desires? Why do we choose to act in one way and not another? These aren't just philosophical questions. They are the very foundation of psychology, the scientific study of the mind and behavior. It's a discipline that seeks to understand the most complex and intricate system known to humankind, the human psyche. For millennia, these questions were the domain of philosophy. Thinkers like Socrates and Aristotle pondered the nature of consciousness and the relationship between mind and body. But it wasn't until the late 19th century that psychology truly emerged as its own science. The pivotal moment arrived in 1879 when Wilhelm Wundt, a German physician, established the very first psychological research laboratory at the University of Leipzig. By using systematic experimental methods to study conscious experience, Wundt moved the study of the mind from the realm of speculation to the world of empirical data. Wundt's work sparked a revolution, leading to the formation of different schools of thought, each with a unique perspective on the mind. The first two, structuralism and functionalism, were born from a foundational disagreement. Structuralists, led by Wundt's student Edward Titchener, believed the mind could be broken down into its most basic elements, like a chemist analyzing a compound. They used a method called introspection, asking subjects to report their raw sensory experiences. But their rivals, the functionalists, championed by William James, argued that it wasn't about the parts, but about the purpose. They asked, what is the function of the mind? How does it help us adapt and survive in the world? They looked to our evolutionary history, laying the groundwork for many of today's modern approaches. Then came a seismic shift. Behaviorism, pioneered by figures like John B. Watson and B. F. Skinner, rejected the mind as a worthy subject altogether. To a behaviorist, the only thing that mattered was observable behavior. They believed all behavior was learned through a process of association and reinforcement. Think of Pavlov's dogs or Skinner's pigeons. They showed how a simple stimulus could elicit a predictable response. Meanwhile, in Vienna, Sigmund Freud was building an entirely different model, psychoanalysis. Freud argued that our actions were driven by a powerful, hidden force, the unconscious mind. He used techniques like dream analysis and free association to uncover repressed memories and hidden desires that he believed were the root of psychological distress. While many of his theories are no longer considered scientific, his profound impact on culture and the concept of therapy is undeniable. As the 20th century progressed, new perspectives emerged. Humanistic psychology, with leaders like Carl Rogers, offered a stark contrast to behaviorism and psychoanalysis. They focused on the inherent good in humanity and the potential for personal growth and self-actualization. This approach brought concepts like empathy and unconditional positive regard to the forefront of therapy. Finally, the cognitive revolution of the 1950s turned the focus back inward. Viewing the mind as a sophisticated information processor, much like a computer, this school, which is dominant today, studies internal mental processes like memory, problem-solving, and language. The discipline of psychology is vast, divided into numerous subfields, each offering a lens through which to view a different aspect of the human experience. Developmental psychology tracks our journey from birth to death. It explores how and why we change over time, from a baby's first words to a teenager's search for identity. It's in this field that we encounter monumental theories like Jean Piaget's stages of cognitive development, which map the unique ways children learn to think. Social psychology examines how our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are influenced by other people. Why do we conform to group pressure? How do we form stereotypes? This field sheds light on powerful concepts like groupthink and cognitive dissonance, which help explain everything from social media trends to political polarization. And then there's cognitive psychology, which has revealed the secrets of our inner world. Researchers in this field study how we acquire, process, and store information. They've given us a better understanding of how memory works, like the distinction between short-term and long-term memory, and the biases that influence our judgment. But the most profound shift has come from the marriage of psychology and neuroscience. The old nature versus nurture debate, once a simple either-or, is now seen as a fascinating both. We Know that our genes and our environment are in a constant dynamic dance. The rise of sophisticated brain imaging techniques like fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, has allowed us to watch the brain in action, literally seeing how our experiences shape our neural pathways. When we think of a psychologist, we often picture someone in a clinical setting. While clinical psychology is a vital area providing therapy and diagnosing mental health disorders, the influence of psychology extends far beyond that. In the corporate world, industrial organizational I/O psychologists use their knowledge to improve workplace productivity, employee satisfaction, and hiring processes. They're the ones designing effective training programs and helping to resolve workplace conflicts. In marketing and advertising, psychologists apply principles of social proof and scarcity to influence consumer behavior. They've shown us that we're not always rational actors. Our decisions are often driven by emotional and cognitive biases. In the world of technology, UX user experience, psychologists design interfaces that are intuitive and easy to use, making sure that a website or app feels natural to a user. Psychology is now integral to everything from your favorite streaming service's recommendation algorithm to the design of a car dashboard. With great power comes great responsibility. The ability to influence human behavior comes with a host of ethical challenges. In research, psychologists must adhere to strict guidelines, ensuring informed consent and protecting participants from harm. The use of deception. In classic studies like the Milgram experiment has sparked ongoing debates about what is acceptable in the pursuit of knowledge. In therapy, a psychologist's most sacred duty is to maintain confidentiality. However, this isn't an absolute. There are crucial exceptions, such as when a client poses an immediate threat to themselves or others, or in cases of suspected child or elder abuse. These duty to warn clauses are a legal and ethical obligation that balances a client's privacy with public safety. Looking ahead, psychology is moving into new, exciting territory. The field of behavioral economics, for example, is bridging the gap between psychology and finance, explaining why we often make irrational financial decisions. The explosion of big data and artificial intelligence is providing new tools to analyze behavior on a massive scale. We're seeing AI-powered apps for mental health support, and even the early stages of brain-computer interfaces. BC is that could one day help people with paralysis regain movement or communication. Psychology is a constantly evolving science. From the philosophical questions of ancient Greece to the mind-bending technology of tomorrow, it is a journey into what it means to be human. It's the study of our past, the explanation of our present, and the key to unlocking our future. And the journey continues, because the human mind, in all its complexity, will always be the most fascinating subject of all.